What if the Industrial Revolution, a pivotal era that shaped the world as we know it, started in China instead of England? How would our present look different? Just think about it for a moment. The Industrial Revolution, a remarkable period in our history, fundamentally transformed society in myriad ways. It was a time when we catapulted from agrarian economies to industrial powerhouses, when we moved from the countryside to the cities, when we traded our plows for power looms. It was a time of tremendous innovation and change, and it all started in England, a relatively small island nation that at the time was a titan of global commerce. England was the cradle of the Industrial Revolution, the birthplace of the steam engine, the spinning jenny, and the power loom. These inventions catapulted England to the forefront of global power, shaping the world in ways that still echo today. But what if this transformative era had taken root elsewhere? What if, instead of the rolling hills and bustling cities of England, the Industrial Revolution had sprung to life in the vast landscapes of China? Imagine the possibilities. China, with its rich history and vast resources, could have been the birthplace of the steam engine, the spinning jenny, and the power loom. It could have been the nation to ignite the spark of industrialization, to fan the flames of innovation, to lead the world into a new era. It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? A shift in the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution could have drastically altered the course of history, reshaping economic development and global power structures in ways that are almost unimaginable. It could have created a world vastly different from the one we know today. As we dive into this alternate history, let's imagine the ripple effects of this shift in the birthplace of modern industry. What would our world look like if the spark of change had ignited in China instead of England? What would be different? What would be the same? And most importantly, what can this thought experiment teach us about the power of place, the importance of timing, and the endless possibilities of human innovation? Let's find out. If the Industrial Revolution had begun in China, its early development would have been dramatically different. So let's explore this alternate history, where the sleeping dragon awakens not just to a new day, but to a new era of industry and innovation. Envision China's vast landscapes, rich with abundant natural resources. Coal, iron, and other minerals, the lifeblood of industrialization, are plentiful. These resources, coupled with the country's large population, could have provided the necessary ingredients for an early industrial revolution. China's manpower, put to work in mines and factories, would have been a potent force, driving the wheels of industry at a pace unseen in our actual history. But it's not just about resources and manpower. China, in this alternate timeline, also has a deep well of technological knowledge. From gunpowder to the compass, the Middle Kingdom was a cradle of innovation long before the West. Imagine that prowess applied to industrial machinery. Picture the steam engine, not as a product of English minds, but born from the ingenuity of Chinese inventors. What impact would this have had on China's social and political structures? Possibly the burgeoning industrial sector could have led to a strengthened middle class, changing the balance of power and leading to social and political reforms. Trade unions might have emerged sooner, fighting for workers' rights in the heart of the dragon's den. And then, consider China's global influence. With a head start in the Industrial Revolution, China could have taken the reins of global trade and politics. Perhaps the Opium Wars would never have happened, or the Boxer Rebellion might have taken a different turn. The history books, as we know them, could have been written in a whole new language. A Chinese Industrial Revolution could have thrust the nation into an era of unprecedented growth and global leadership. This alternate path of history, while purely hypothetical, gives us a fascinating glimpse into the power of what if. The shift of the Industrial Revolution to China would have significant implications for the rest of the world. Just imagine, with the epicenter of industrialization moving from the west to the east, global trade routes would have been drastically altered. In our timeline, the Industrial Revolution in England led to the expansion of maritime trade routes, with a strong emphasis on transatlantic voyages. Had the revolution sparked in China instead, perhaps the focus would have been on the Pacific and Indian Oceans, fostering a stronger network of trade among Asian countries, the Middle East, Africa, and the Americas. And then there's the question of colonization. In our history, the European powers, armed with advanced technology and industrial might, embarked on a race to colonize vast portions of the world. But if China had been the first to industrialize, could we have seen a different pattern of colonization, perhaps even a less aggressive one? After all, China, throughout its history, has traditionally been less interested in territorial expansion compared to the European powers. Let's take a moment to consider how this shift could have influenced the major conflicts of the 19th and 20th centuries. The two world wars were, in part, the result of tensions between industrialized nations vying for global dominance. If China had been the leading industrial power, with potentially less emphasis on territorial expansion and more focus on trade and diplomacy, could these devastating conflicts have been avoided? It's an intriguing thought, isn't it? One thing is for sure, a Chinese-led industrial revolution would have dramatically shifted the balance of power, and the effects of this shift would ripple through the centuries, altering the course of history. This shift could have rewritten the history books, changing the trajectory of many nations and possibly preventing some global conflicts. It's a fascinating thought to ponder, and a stark reminder of how seemingly small changes in the past can have enormous implications for the future. Fast forward to today, how might our world look different if the Industrial Revolution had started in China? Imagine a world where the Middle Kingdom is the dominant global power, its influence extending far beyond its borders. The balance of power we know today, with the United States and Europe at the forefront, is replaced by a different structure. China, with its advanced technology and vast resources, stands tall at the helm of the global stage. In this alternate universe, the European nations, without the early economic boost of the Industrial Revolution, are not the powerhouses we know them to be today. They are still influential, but they are not the dominant forces that dictate the global order. The technological advancements we see around us may also be different. China, with its millennia-old tradition of innovation, would likely have given us a different set of technological marvels. Perhaps the steam engine, the cornerstone of the British Industrial Revolution, would not be the transformative invention we know it to be. Instead, we might see more advancements geared towards agriculture, given China's historical focus on this sector. Language and culture would also be drastically different. Mandarin, not English, could be the lingua franca of the world, influencing global communication and shaping the cultural landscape. Chinese philosophies and ideologies might have a stronger impact on global thought and policymaking, and the global economy, it would likely be centered around China. The yuan, instead of the dollar or euro, could be the world's reserve currency, influencing global trade and financial systems. But it's not just about power and economy. This shift in history could also have led to a different approach to environmental sustainability. China's historical respect for nature and balance could have led to more sustainable industrial practices, potentially altering the trajectory of climate change. Our world could have taken a dramatically different path, with China at the helm of the global order. While we can only speculate, exploring this what-if scenario invites us to consider the powerful impact of historical events on our present. Imagine, if you will, the Industrial Revolution blooming in the heart of China, centuries before it sparked in England. The face of global power structures, economic development, and indeed the world as we know it, could have been drastically different. We began our journey with the spark of change, where we imagined the birth of industrialization in China, propelled by the nation's abundant resources, innovative minds, and strategic trade routes. This shift could have catapulted China into the limelight as the world's superpower, centuries ahead of its time. In The Dragon Awakens, we visualize China's transformation. A nation once steeped in tradition and agriculture, evolving into an industrial titan. The ripple effects of this change could have reached the farthest corners of the earth, altering the course of history. The butterfly effect led us to consider the profound implications of this alternate reality. How the balance of power might have shifted, and how the world's economic and political landscape might have been reshaped. Fast forward to the present day, a different world, where we contemplated a modern-day reality under the shadow of an industrially advanced China. The global socio-economic dynamics, the progress of technology, the cultural exchanges, all could have been vastly different from what we know today. We've journeyed through time, speculating on alternate histories and the power of what if. But why? Why undertake this exercise of imagination? Because history is not just about understanding the past, It's about understanding how the past has shaped our present and how it can influence our future. As we consider this alternate past, we gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate web of history that has shaped our world. The power of what if is not just in its ability to ignite our imaginations, but also in its capacity to remind us that our future is not set in stone. It's ours to shape, just as the past shaped us. As we consider this alternate past, we gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate web of history that has shaped our world.